and welcome to News 9 Digital. I'm Pratibha. Thank you for joining me live. The total number of COVID-19 cases across the country has now crossed over 60 lakh and deaths across the country have risen to over 95,000. And the country has reported 82,170 new COVID cases today with over 1,000 deaths. Now, the Health Ministry has said that over 50 lakh people have so far recovered from coronavirus, with the recovery rate improving to 82.58%. Now, India is in the pole position in terms of the number of recoveries that have been reported across the world. And it's followed by Brazil as well as the United States, again two of the countries where the total number of cases are quite high. And this is according to the data that has been availed from the Johns Hopkins University, which has been compiling the COVID-19 data from all over the world. Now, India is the second worst hit nation in terms of COVID-19 cases after the United States, while it is in the third spot in terms of fatalities globally after the United States as well as Brazil. And India's positivity rate of coronavirus may have been hovering around 8% for a while now, but the death rate has been declining gradually, highlighting, of course, the fact that India is losing fewer people to the viral disease as compared to most of the other countries, some of them even much more developed than India as well. So as on today, India's case fatality rate has also reduced. The proportion of people who have died among the confirmed cases at 1.5% is nearly half of the global average of 3.2%. So while the total number of cases across the country might be increasing, questions being raised on the testing. Of course, the testing has also increased, reaching about 12 lakh over the last few days. But despite that, we've seen a very, very slight dip in the number of cases that have been reported over the last few days. So the recoveries have been on a rise. Does that mean that India has flattened the curve in terms of the cases? And what is the success story of India's recovery? Why is it that the recoveries are the highest in the country? To discuss more on this, Dr. Shashidhar Buggi joins us live. Doctor, many thanks for joining us. This is something that is a silver lining for the pandemic. Despite the increasing number of cases, this is something that has been a reason for a celebration across the country as well. Despite the high number of cases that are being reported, the recoveries are quite good in the country. Now it has crossed 82% as well. But what would you attribute this high number of or percentage of recovery to in India?
No, actually, we have to, the way in which we have acted ever since this pandemic was declared, that lockdown and the various measures like social distancing and use of mask and all these, then use of sanitizers, then hygiene. So these are the things which plays a very, very important role as far as the virus infection is concerned, especially virus. And even though nearly 60 lakhs cases have been reported in our country, even though it is said that it is the second among the world, but according to me, if the population, if it is taken, it is definitely very, very less.
Okay.
According to me. Because when we compare this with the population-wise, because ours is a huge country, 1.3, more than 1.3 billion cases, population, in that is one. And one of the important thing which is recovery rate is very high, is a good news. But however, because of the population, because of, still we do not have a drug. Still we do not have a drug. And then there is still we are yet to get the vaccine. And because of huge population, these whatever the measures which you are taking, like social distancing, use of mask, and testing, number of testing which has been increased, this is the only way to still, it's a good sign is there, because of the huge population, the number is still quite high. To me.
Right. But doctor, when you speak of testing as well, even though about 12 lakh tests are being conducted on an average, as we've seen over the last 1 week, despite that, our positivity rate still is quite high as opposed to what we've seen in a few other places like New York, where it's at 1%, in South Korea as well. Our positivity rate still remains at 8%.
That is because of the huge population. The number
Okay.
of tests, number of this one is more, definitely. So that is why till we get a treatment for it, and that we do not know. Any virus, it is still in the research stage.
Yeah.
Yet the vaccines, number of nearly more than 100 companies are working on where research is going on the drugs and the vaccine, everything. Till we get a solution for this, the only way which is that identification of the symptomatic cases, and then testing, which is being definitely done wonderful in the entire country. In the beginning, there were very few centers were there. Now,
Yeah.
I think more than 130 centers are there in the country,
Yeah,
I
it
suppose.
has been increased tremendously, that's true. But
Tremendously.
also,
That's a good thing.
but also,
So,
Doctor,
yeah,
you know, if we compare it to a few other developed countries as well, mortality rate as well as the recovery rate as well is much, much better in India. Can you really, I mean, explain it in ways other than social distancing and wearing masks? Would you say immunity of people in the country as well?
Definitely. And apart from that, the weather conditions in our country is not favorable to any of the viral infections.
Okay.
Totally frankly. Because of other in countries, that is why, regularly the people are vaccinated for influenza. Regularly it is being done. But in our country, we do it only for vulnerable people. That's all. It is the same way, and immunity-wise also. And that is why I still remember when I was involved in the H1N1 pandemic in 2009 and 10. Because we are all the senior citizens, majority of them were actually, we had cross immunity was there. That's why there was not of much mortality also during that time.
Okay.
This is one of the reasons. And apart from that, entire machinery is put into action, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Such a big country with so much of facilities, and it is really tested but however, still mortality, it is unpredictable. Some of the mortalities which we see of the high profiles, lower cadre people and all that, we really feel bad. That is the only way to contain is till we get a solution. Any drug or a vaccine, people have to be careful.
True.
And unnecessarily avoid going out, social distancing. And
Absolutely.
if this is really maintained, there is one more article which I have seen recently, that the other diseases are also have come down because of the measures which are being taken.
Yeah.
Like malaria, it may be dengue, chikungunya. And these infections are also has come down. It is because of we are staying at home, social distancing, use of mask and other things.
And awareness of personal hygiene as well.
Yeah. This is very, very important. I think this should even with reduction in the corona, this whatever may be, and if these measures are continued in our country, and it is better for us, totally frank.
Absolutely.
This is what I would like to say.
All right. Dr. Shashidhar Buggi, many thanks for joining us live with your expertise on the
Thank you
subject.
very much.
The former director of RGICD weighing in on the recovery rate in the country and why it is so high. Of course, the centre is also aiming at bringing down the fatality rate to 1% or below. And it is people with comorbidities and the elderly who are, of course, at a very high risk, as almost 70% of those who have died in the country have one or more comorbidities, such as hypertension, diabetes, any cardiac issues, renal or liver disease as well. And on Saturday, there were several tests that were conducted. A little over 9 lakh tests were conducted and carried out across the country, 26% lower than the tests that were conducted. On an average, of course, the testing has been increased across the country. Over the last 1 week, we've seen a slight dip in the number of cases that are being reported as well, but the recovery rate being quite high. And in some of the states and very popular states as well, like Uttar Pradesh as well, it has spectacularly increased to much over 80% as well, which is something to cheer about. But again, as the caution goes out, as always, ensure that we're taking the precautions because it is best avoided. And that's the reason why the cases are in control in the country. So ensure you wear a face mask anytime you step out. Ensure you maintain physical distancing and maintain personal hygiene. Thank you so much for watching this video. I look forward to your comments on the subject as well. Take care.